What if I told you that everything you're experiencing right now, every success, every struggle, every single circumstance is created by one pattern? It's a pattern so predictable that once you understand it, you can literally redesign your entire reality. Here's something that might blow your mind. You've never experienced a single moment of your life directly. Every experience, every decision, every memory is all filtered through emotion. Even right now, watching this video, you're experiencing it through an emotional state. And once you understand this, everything changes. We lost everything that we owned in a house fire, but this one mindset concept is why we're not just surviving, we're about to thrive. So before we dive in, if you're ready to master your mindset and create real change in your life, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. And I share a new mindset strategy with you every week. This is why your mindset matters. Like I said before, you've never really experienced a single moment of your life directly. Every experience, every decision, every memory is all filtered through emotion. We take this information in through our senses, what we see, hear, touch, smell, taste. Our mind is constantly recording this data, but there's way too much of it for us to process this consciously. There's about 2.3 to 10 million bits of information per second coming in, but we can only process and handle about 126 bits of that information at a time. And because of this, our brains, they're filtering this information down using three main processes. We're deleting things. That means that we're ignoring what's not really important to us. For example, if you drove to work and you weren't hungry, then most likely you didn't notice all those fast food restaurants on the way. And we distort things, so we interpret things differently based on our perspective. For instance, if a friend doesn't wave back, you might think they're upset with you, even though what really happened is they just didn't see you. And we generalize things. We use past experiences to form patterns. For example, after being stuck in traffic a few times, you might assume that all rush hour drives are really stressful. See, these filters, they're influenced by things like our values, which is what's important to us, and our beliefs. This is what we hold to be true. Then there's something that's called metaprograms. These are unconscious thinking patterns that we have. We also filter things by time and location. This is when and where something happens. This is filtered information that is really shaping our thoughts. And then that really influences the way that we feel, and ultimately it drives our actions that we take. And this is so important for you to know to be able to put yourself back in charge of them. It's such a fascinating way that our brains process everything around us. People who really have a hard time of getting this concept, this really helps them a lot. So I'm excited to share this with you and help you to understand this. Let's picture Carrie standing at the doorway of her friend Jamie's house party. And the moment she steps in, her nervous system is bombarded with this massive wave of information, like 2.3 million bits per second, that much. And let's just go ahead and walk through her experience here. So all of this external stimuli is flooding in. Her eyes catch the warm glow of these string lights. She sees people's animated faces. She sees Sarah's new haircut, the way that Mark's gesturing while he's telling a story. Her ears pick up the song by the Lumineers. It's her favorite. She hears these different conversations overlapping. That amazing smell of garlic bread that's just going through the air. The cool glass of Chardonnay that's in her hand. The slight breeze from being outside. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Carrie's brain can't possibly process all of this and all the other information that's coming in at once. So it starts filtering, starts deleting things. So she completely tunes out the conversation about somebody's car trouble. She's not interested in problems right now. She's having a good time. The plant that's brand new in the corner, she barely registers that. She completely misses that somebody has changed all the landscaping in the yard. Something else she starts to do is generalize. She starts saying things to herself like, this feels just like Jamie's last party. Her brain chunks this experience with similar past events. The layout's different, but her mind categorizes it as Jamie's cozy gathering. Her brain automatically sorts people into close friends and acquaintances. And then she starts distorting things. She notices that Jamie laughed at one of the jokes that she just made. So this is an external reference. In her mind, this confirms everybody's having a good time because I'm here, even though only one person laughed at her joke. She sees Tom talking to Sarah and she assumes that they're discussing work. So this is her filters at work. They're working overtime. Her values are working. These are my kind of people. They care about meaningful conversations. Her beliefs are working. House parties are where the best friendships deepen. Her past memories are working. That time last summer when she had this amazing heart-to-heart with Jamie in this same exact space and time orientation. She's already thinking about a future conversation she might have, and she's already thinking about what she's going to talk about tonight. See, all of this filtering happens in an instant, creating Carrie's current state. She's relaxed, socially confident, and she's feeling like she belongs. Her posture relaxes. She's smiling warmly. Isn't it amazing how our brains create this reality through all these filters? What was initially millions of bits of raw data becomes just a meaningful, manageable experience that just fits right into Carrie's model of the world. But everyone at that party, they're all going to have different experiences of what happened. So let's talk about walking into my home after that fire. That first step. In that single instance, my nervous system was overwhelmed with sensations. Millions of bits of information flooding in all at one time. The acrid smell of smoke, the kind of smoke that doesn't just enter your nose, it like burns its way in, makes your body instinctively just want to pull back. The sound of crunching debris under my feet. Just hours before, there'd been these familiar floors with all of our belongings, and now it was just this crunchy wasteland. And then that's what hit me next, is where our home used to be kind of buzzing with life, and even hearing the hum of electronics, the sound of voices, even the gentle whir of the air conditioner running. There's nothing. See, my eyes, they just tried to make sense of what they were seeing. Walls that we'd painted ourselves, and they're now blackened and just warped by fire and water damage. The charred remains of our life was transformed into unrecognizable shapes. The air itself felt different. It was heavy. It was oppressive, like it was carrying the weight of everything that we lost. And that taste of ash that was in the air, when I reached out to touch what was left, my hands, they were covered with soot. But standing there in that moment of overwhelming sensory chaos, something else was happening in my mind. Now, here's where mindset and awareness become everything. My mind started filtering this overwhelming flood of information. I started deleting things, becoming aware of these thoughts in my mind. Immediately, I started to delete the thoughts of what we've lost, and I started scanning instead for what can we do next? The destroyed furniture, instead of focusing on that or the melting electronics, I started changing that process. And then generalizing. This started kicking in hard. We've overcome challenges before. This isn't anything other than just a bigger one. My brain instantly connected to every time that we'd successfully pivoted in business, every time that we'd started with something and then it turned into a setback, and then we turned it into a comeback. And then my mind started distorting. Instead of seeing devastation, part of me was already starting to see the opportunity. Where others might see an ending, my proactive programming was already writing the first chapter of our next beginning. My filters were working overtime based on values. Values like our impact isn't in our possessions, it's in our message. My beliefs that everything happens for us and not to us. Based off of past memories, every single breakthrough, every transformation we'd facilitated before, it started to come through. And time orientation, future focused, already seeing the videos that we're recording right now. You see, standing there in the aftermath, two completely different realities were possible. through one set of filters, this was devastating. It was an end to everything. And then the other, the one that we chose, this was the universe's way of pushing us to something even bigger, a bigger vision. All of these filters, all of this processing, it created a state. And it wasn't a state of devastation, but I think most people would agree that that would have been understandable. But instead, it created a state of determined resilience. It became a state of clarity. It became a state of purpose. And that's exactly why mindset matters. Because in any situation, even standing in the ashes of everything that you've built, your mindset determines whether you're looking at an ending or the most powerful beginning that you could have ever planned. This is what I call the emotional symphony. Think of your day so far. You didn't just wake up, you woke up feeling something. Maybe refreshed, maybe groggy, maybe anxious. Maybe you were anxious about the day ahead. You didn't just have breakfast, you experienced it through satisfaction or rush or maybe even guilt. We're constantly hopping from one emotional state to the next to the next. And it's like musicians playing different notes in this endless symphony. After the fire, we experienced this through waves of emotion, right? Shock numbed us to reality. Fear gripped us about this future. Grief overwhelmed us for what we lost, and determination rose up to rebuild. So each emotion created a different version of the same reality. Here's the thing about human beings. We think that we make decisions based on logic, but that's rarely true. We make decisions based on emotions, and then we use logic to try and justify them. Here, let me prove this to you. Think about your last major purchase. Maybe it was a car. It doesn't matter what it was. Now, did you buy it because of the specs? Or did you buy it because of how it made you feel? Successful, safe, excited, productive, whatever that item was. See, the specs just help you to justify the emotional decision. Even in business, where we think that we're being purely logical, we hire people that we feel good about. We choose partners that we trust. We make investments that feel right. This isn't a weakness, it's human nature. The key is becoming aware of it. So this is something that we call the fat cow model. Here's how this creates our world. Let's use this real world example from our current situation. Now, these aren't necessarily in order. This is just a mnemonic device to help you to remember. Okay, a feeling is always preceded by a thought, but this will make it easy to remember. So there were thoughts generated. This is too much. We'll never recover. We're not ready for this. And then there's this, we're feeling a state. I start feeling overwhelmed about rebuilding our business. I start feeling overwhelmed about the process. And then we take actions from that state. If we're taking it from overwhelm, I might procrastinate. I might avoid making important calls. I might put off decisions that we need to make. And then our world is created. Opportunities are missed. Connections aren't made. Progress is delayed. But watch what happens when we consciously shift the emotional state. If we have new thoughts, we can rebuild better than before. This is an opportunity for reinvention. We're more powerful and prepared than we realize. That's going to create a new feeling state. We can choose to access determination and possibility. Now, this is going to create new actions. We're going to make those crucial calls. We're going to reach out to our networks. We're going to take decisive steps forward. What's that going to do? It's going to create a new world. Opportunities are going to be discovered. We're going to support our manifestations. Progress is going to accelerate. Okay, most people, they live their entire lives at the mercy of emotional autopilot. They wake up, they think anxious thoughts, they feel anxious, they act scattered, and then that creates more anxiety. They think hostile thoughts, they feel frustrated, they act aggressively. That creates more conflict. They think loony thoughts, they feel inadequate, they act timidly. It creates more limitations. But once you understand this pattern, you can interrupt them at any point. Consciously select different thoughts, choose a different emotional state, take different actions despite the emotion. So what you're doing here is you're creating a different reality. This is why emotional intelligence isn't just some soft skill, it's the foundation of reality creation. When you can recognize your emotional state, understand its impact on your actions and thoughts, and then consciously choose to shift your state, you become the composer of your life symphony, not just a passive listener. Now, most people think emotions just happen to them, but that's like saying that the weather happens to the atmosphere. Your emotions are your atmosphere. They create the climate that your thoughts and your actions grow in. Here's what real emotional intelligence looks like in action. First, awareness. Like a skilled musician who can hear every instrument in an orchestra, you learn to identify exactly what you're feeling. Not just bad or good, but the specific notes: frustration, anticipation, doubt, excitement. Okay, second, understanding impact. Each emotion creates its own reality. Fear shrinks possibilities. So curiosity expands them. Anger drives hasty actions. Calm enables clear choices. But here's where mastery happens. This is the shift. Just like our conductor can guide an orchestra from intense drama to peaceful resolve, you can learn to shift your emotional state. The conductor doesn't ask a musician to leave or take their instrument to change the intensity. No. So you shift your state not by suppressing emotions, but by choosing which ones to amplify. Right now, rebuilding after the fire, we're not just feeling emotions, we're conducting them. We're taking the shock and we're channeling that into alertness. We're transforming grief into appreciation. We're converting fear into focused action. This isn't about positive thinking. It's emotional mastery. And it's the difference between having life happen to you versus through you. Okay, so here's what we practice daily, and this is what we invite you to try. Emotional check-ins throughout the day. Conscious state shifting before important decisions, and definitely never make an important decision if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Okay, tracking the fat cow in your journal. Journaling is something that we're really going to encourage you to do. With each one of these episodes, what we're going to do is we're going to put some journal prompts down. You're learning some things in here, and when you can write those things down, you're applying it to your life. And Teresa's going to create a future video for you on journaling, and we will make sure we put a link to that as soon as that's available. This is really important to be able to notice the reality that each emotional state is creating for you. If this video was helpful for you, give us a thumbs up, share it with somebody who needs to hear this message. In our next episode, we're going to dive into specific techniques to allow you to master your emotional state. So we created this action sheet that goes along with this episode, and those journal prompts I talked about, they're down there for you as well for this week. Hey, they're free and they're down below in the show notes. In the meantime, remember, the goal isn't always to feel positive emotions. It's to be aware of how your emotional state is creating your reality in each moment. This awareness alone is going to transform your world. I'll see you next week. Until then, remember, your mindset matters.